Hello friends, welcome to Storytelling Station and I am Shurab Nath and today I am going to tell you the fourth part of the Sherlock Holmes story, The Adventure of the Barrel Coronet, written by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. For the previous part, please go to my channel and I am also giving you the link in the description. Now let's start the story, The Adventure of the Barrel Coronet.
You have given orders that Arthur should be liberated. Have you not, Dad?
No, my god, the matter must be probed to the bottom.
But I am so sure that he is innocent. You know what woman's instincts are? I know that he has done no harm and that you will be sorry for having acted so harshly.
Why is he silent then, if he is innocent?
Who knows? Perhaps because he was so angry that you should suspect him.
How could I help suspecting him when I actually saw him with the coronet in his hand?
Oh, but he had only picked it up to look at it. Oh, do take my word for it that he is innocent. Let the matter drop and say no more. It is so dreadful to think of our dear Arthur in prison.
I shall never let it drop until the gems are found. Never, Mary. Your affection for Arthur blinds you as to the awful consequences to me. Far from hushing the thing up, I have brought a gentleman down from London to inquire more deeply into it.
This gentleman,
No, his friend. He wished us to leave him alone. He is round in the stable lane now.
the stable lane. What can he hope to find there? Ah, this, I suppose, is he. I trust, sir, that you will succeed in proving what I feel sure is the truth, that my cousin Arthur is innocent of this crime.
I fully share your opinion, and I trust with you that we may prove it. I believe I have the honor of addressing Miss Mary Holder. Might I ask you a question or two?
Pray do, sir, if it may help to clear this horrible affair up.
You heard nothing yourself last night?
Nothing until my uncle here began to speak loudly. I heard that and I came down.
You shut up the windows and doors the night before. Did you fasten all the windows?
Yes,
You have a maid who has a sweetheart. I think that you remarked to your uncle last night that she had been out to see him.
yes, and she was the girl who waited in the drawing room and who may have heard uncle's remarks about the coronet.
I see. You infer that she may have gone out to tell her sweetheart that the two may have planned the robbery.
But what is the good of all these false theories when I have told you that I saw Arthur with the coronet in his hands?
Wait a little, Mr. Holder. We must come back to that. About this girl, Miss Holder. You saw her return by the kitchen door, I presume?
Yes, when I went to see if the door was fastened for the night, I met her slipping in. I saw the man too in the gloom.
Do you know him?
Yes, oh yes, he is the greengrocer who brings our vegetables round. His name is Francis Prosper.
He stood to the left of the door, that is to say, farther up the path than is necessary to reach the door.
Yes, he did.
And is a man with a wooden leg?
Something like a fear sprang up in the young lady's expressive black eyes.
Why, you were like a musician. How do you know that?
She smiled, but there was no answering smile in Holmes' thin, eager face.
I should be very glad now to go upstairs. I shall probably wish to go over the outside of the house again. Perhaps I had better take a look at the lower windows before I go up.
We walked swiftly round from one to the other, pausing only at the large one which looked from the hall onto the stable lane. This he opened and made a very careful examination of the seal with his powerful magnifying lens. Then he said at last,
Now we shall go upstairs.
"The banker's dressing room was a plainly furnished little chamber, with a grey carpet, a large bureau, and a long mirror. Holmes went to the bureau first and looked hard at the lock. Then he asked,
Which key was used to open it?
"That which my son himself indicated, that of the cupboard of the lumber room."
Have you it here?
"That is it, on the dressing table." Sherlock Holmes took it up and opened the bureau, and then said,
It is a noiseless lock. It is no wonder that it did not wake you. This case, I presume, contains the coronet. We must have a look at it.
He opened the case, and taking out the diadem, he laid it upon the table. It was a magnificent specimen of the jeweller's art, and the 36 stones were the finest that I have ever seen. At one side of the coronet was a cracked edge, where a corner holding 3 gems had been torn away.
Now, Mr. Holder, here is the coronet which corresponds to that which has been so unfortunately lost. Might I beg that you will break it off?
"I should not dream of trying, Mr. Holmes."
Then I will.
Holmes suddenly bent his strength upon it, but without result.
I feel it give a little, but though I am exceptionally strong in the fingers, it would take me all my time to break it. An ordinary man could not do it. Now, what do you think what happened if I did break it, Mr. Holder? There would be a noise like a pistol shot. Do you tell me that all this happened within a few yards of your bed, and that you heard nothing of it?
"I do not know what to think. It is all dark to me."
But perhaps it may grow lighter as we go. What do you think, Mr. Holder? Your son had no shoes or slippers on when you saw him?
He had nothing on save only his trousers and shirt.
Thank you. We have certainly been favored with extraordinary luck during this inquiry, and it will be entirely our own fault if we do not succeed in clearing the matter up. With your permission, Mr. Holder, I shall now continue my investigations outside.
He went alone at his own request, for he explained that any unnecessary footmarks might make his task more difficult. For an hour or more he was at work, returning at last with his feet heavy with snow and his features as inscrutable as ever.
I think that I have seen now all that there is to see, Mr. Holder. I can serve you best by returning to my rooms.
"But the gems, Mr. Holmes? Where are they?"
I cannot tell that.
"I shall never see them again. And my son? You give me hopes."
My opinion is in no way altered.
"Then, for God's sake, what was this dark business which was acted in my house last night?"
If you can call me upon me at my Baker Street rooms tomorrow morning between 9 and 10, I shall be happy to do what I can to make it clearer. I understand that you give me a carte blanche to act for you, provided only that I get back the gems, and that you place no limit on the sum I may draw.
"I would give my fortune to have them back."
Very good. I shall look into the matter between this and then. Goodbye. It is just possible that I may have to come over here again before evening.
It was obvious to me that my companion's mind was now made up about the case, although what his conclusions were was more than I could even dimly imagine. Several times during our homeward journey, I endeavored to sound him upon the point, but he always glided away to some other topic, until at last I gave it over in despair. It was not yet 3 when we found ourselves in our rooms once more. He hurried to his chamber and was down again in a few minutes, dressed as a common loafer, with his collar turned up, his shiny seedy coat, his red cravat, and his own boots. He was a perfect sample of the class. Glancing into the glass above the fireplace, Sherlock Holmes said,
I think that this would do. I only wish that you could come with me, Watson, but I fear that it won't do. I may be on the trial in this matter, or may be following a will o' the wisp, but I shall soon know which it is. I hope that I may be back in a few hours.
He cut a slice of beef from the joint upon the sideboard, sandwiched it between 2 rounds of bread, and thrusting this rude meal into his pocket, he started off upon his expedition. I had just finished my tea when he returned, evidently in excellent spirits, swinging an old elastic-sided boot in his hand. He chucked it down into a corner and helped himself to a cup of tea.
I only looked in as I passed. I am going right on.
Where to?
Oh, to the other side of the West End. It may be some time before I get back. Don't wait up for me in case I should be late.
How are you getting on?
Oh, so. Nothing to complain of. I have been out to Streatham since I saw you last, but I did not call at the house. It is a very sweet little problem, and I would not have missed it for a good deal. However, I must not sit gossiping here, but must get these disreputable clothes off and return to my highly respectable self.
I could see by his manner that he had stronger reasons for satisfaction than his words alone would imply. His eyes twinkled, and there was even a touch of color upon his sallow cheeks. He hastened upstairs, and a few minutes later I heard the slam of the hall door, which told me that he was off once more upon his congenial hunt. I waited until midnight, but there was no sign of his return, so I retired to my room. It was no uncommon thing for him to be away for days and nights on end when he was hot upon a scent, so that is his latest caused me no surprise. I do not know at what hour he came in, but when I came down to breakfast in the morning, there he was, with a cup of coffee in one hand and the paper in the other, as fresh and trim as possible.
You will excuse my beginning without you, Watson, but you remember that our client has rather an early appointment this morning?
Why, it is after 9 now. I should not be surprised if that were he. I thought I heard a ring. It was indeed our friend the financier. I was shocked by the change which had come over him, for his face, which was naturally of a broad and massive mould, was now pinched and fallen in, while his hair seemed to me at least a shade whiter. He entered with a weariness and lethargy which was even more painful than his violence of the morning before, and he dropped heavily into the armchair which I pushed forward for him. I do not know what I have done to be so severely tired, Only 2 days ago, I was a happy and a prosperous man without a care in the world. Now I am left to a lonely and dishonored age. One sorrow comes close upon the heels of another. My niece Mary has deserted me.
Deserted you? What happened to Mary? Did she stole the coronet? Did Sherlock Holmes find out the three gems? To know the final part of the story, subscribe to my channel and press the bell icon below. The last part is coming soon.